Spooking me out, actually. Thomas keeps moving his eyes as if he's watching me. What's that mean? It's scaring me, this Thomas. It's freaking me out! It's freaking me out! It's alive! All of a sudden, Thomas came up against not one, but two Percys. What are you doing, Percy? Why are there two of you? Well, hello, this is Thomas The Tank Collection video number 19. Can you believe we're up to number 19? In my hot little hands here is a beautiful ERTL Thomas. It is the large die-cast model. It's the second one of these that I've got. There's a nice look at the face there. It's had some Thomas love. We can see the face is actually coming off there. It's got paint chips and things on this Thomas. That doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I like them like that. It is a pullback model. I don't think the other one that I've got of these has that function working. But hey, nevertheless, I like them all. I don't care how they come. And this one is missing a wheel on this side. Doesn't bother me at all. It looks like someone has tried to sell this for $4, but through the charity shop, I basically picked this toy up for $1. Definitely one of the sorts of toys that if you ever see them for sale at the right price, get one. Underneath the toy reveals some important info. That one there, don't need to read the top, but K and Ward Limited 1984 and Britt Allcroft Limited 1984. What's K and Ward? And that there, the ERTL company, is it Dyersville, Iowa, USA, made in China, and serial number. Looking at Thomas's wheels, the two front sets have got flanges on it like a real train, but the back one here looks like it may have had a traction tyre, but that's been lost in time. It's a beautiful toy to look at. It's actually a nice toy to have in your hand. It's ticking all the good toy boxes. It's a nice toy to also play with. I can imagine the amount of fun and joy that this would have brought to someone in the past. And if I bring in a beautiful, like I call the normal size ERTL there, you can start to see just how large and beautiful the large die-cast ERTL is. What may be a really nice comparison for this toy is something far more recent. I call it the 2014 70th Anniversary Thomas the Tank, and really that has got a lot of bells and whistles. Mind you, the whistles aren't painted. But we'll just line that up, take away the paper-faced ERTL with the old classic die-cast. Well, I've lined both of those Thomases up at the back there. You can see that the Mattel one at the back there is taller, it's actually longer. Now here is a question. Let's say we go forward 30 years. Which one of those two Thomases would be worth more money? Think very carefully before answering that one. I just grabbed the scales. I'm actually curious which one is heavier. Let's do the classic ERTL first. Okay, cool, at 286 grams. Sorry, I can't do the other at the moment, the other Imperial one. Here's the Mattel one. 389, mind you, I think we've got a passenger in here, yes. My son, when he plays with these, he puts minifigures as drivers. Why would you have a chicken man as a driver? Anyway, 385 grams. I better put the driver back in whilst my son will know I've been playing with his Thomas. This is his one. It is a great Thomas, please don't get me wrong. It's a standout toy. My son plays with this a fair bit, and I think one of the nicest features, as was pointed out by Trainboy7, he called himself something else now, which I can't remember. It fits on Lego System Track. That's really nice to see, isn't it? Begs the question, does the classic old ERTL die-cast fit on a Lego track? Well, we're going to find out, aren't we? I don't think it's going to look that pretty on there. I think it's a bit shy. Yeah. No. It's very hard when you're missing a wheel in the center there, isn't it? But no, it's very close, but it doesn't really want to do it as nicely as this Thomas right here. The Mattel Thomas here, it's very much a CGI themed Thomas in a sense. If you're a new fan, you're going to relate to that. But if you're one of the older fans, you remember how it used to be, well, that larger die-cast is for you. Here's one online, it's a buy it now, US dollars, $38.50. If I bought this in Australia, it would nearly double in cost because of the postage costs. It's touted as a 7-inch vintage toy railway Thomas the Tank. Ooh, this is curious. I found a Percy. It's also an ERTL large die-cast toy. It's only $9.99 US dollars. So is there some sort of strange Thomas the Tank tax going on if it's Thomas? In my searching around, I've just noticed someone selling a paper-faced ERTL. It's one of the smaller toys, but they've been very clever in the way it's presented. It's worth taking a look at. Yeah, this ERTL, $16.95 US dollars, and what this person's done is they've put it in a display case, and they've just really elevated the look of this toy, and it looks like they are trying to impress you with it. I mean, that is just the basics of making a good sale on eBay. But sadly, so few people ever try and do that. I think it's very important to understand how much a toy is really worth, not the emotional price of it, but a realistic market price. eBay say this Mattel die cast is trending at around about $23 US, and let's call that mid-2016. Who knows where that price will go in the future? I dare say there will be some people taking a gamble on that, but you know what, personally, I would rather be taking a gamble on a toy like that one there. The next Thomas, it's a charmer. It's one that I've got a lot of these in my collection. This could possibly be my, I don't know, 8th maybe, 7th, 8th. It's a learning curve toy. It's very much of a classic, well, I'll say classic, I can say classic now, can't I? Earlier version of Thomas the Tank. These split right here. And sometimes, oh, we've got presents in here as well. Sometimes you'll find things in here, but you'll also see where the previous owner has named where the engines were collected. I very much like these cases. I've seen lots of them. We'll take a look at that soon. And I think people are putting Thomas up the top here, but you can put whoever you want wherever. You can sort of see where, you know, your favourite ones were and where the ones you didn't like were. And there's more of that there. Look like little puppets that were made. So this Thomas carrying case will ended up carrying some puppets, didn't it? Some very simple and lovingly made, handmade puppets there. We've seen enough of those. See you later, puppets. But I'll show you where the information about this toy is, and it's hiding in there. Can be tricky to see. It says learning curve there in one corner. And looking very carefully there, it says Ghislaine Thomas Limited 2002. Yeah, I've always wondered, what does tote mean? You hear people say tote case. My daughter's got a tote tray at school. I've never had any of that. I know the audience will know. What I liked about this toy here was, well, the face there, well, was just like, there's little Thomas of its day. The face is like a big version of the little toy that it used to carry. Okay, the next Thomas, and it looks like a Troublesome truck there. It came in this bag. I think this is the bags that the charity shop was using for a while there. Let me extract these toys and take a look. Got to say, they look rather spiffy indeed. Come on, Thomas, come to daddy. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, very, very nice Thomas indeed. Let's take a look at the date underneath. Ghislaine Thomas Limited 2004. Well, I can tell you this, 2004 was not yesterday. This is an absolutely beautiful model. It is ticking a lot of the boxes that you tick when you want to detail a Thomas the Tank. It's got the nice running board in the front there. It's got a nice face. To me, that still looks very ERTL. Like if I went and got an ERTL toy with the non-paper face, it looks very much like that. But I can't see a toy manufacturer on this toy. Yeah, it just... You know, it has the scent. That's the best way of saying it about ERTL, isn't it? Very nice. And we'll take a look at the Troublesome truck as well. Look at that. It looks fantastic, doesn't it? It's very much the older style, early, yeah, what you'd see in the early TV series when it was models. Once again, it's 2004 there. It's just nice. These are nice and clean. There's not much Thomas love going on there. They're coupled up like that. It's a beautiful set, isn't it, when you see it like that? Hey? But yeah, bring it on, man. Bring it on hard and bring it on fast. You just don't see Thomas the Tanks that look like this these days. I'll just do some close-ups of this toy because I want to show you some of the things about this. The detailing on here has been done with like a big sticker, steckle deckle, whatever you want to call them. Okay, there's the wheels there. It's very tidy, isn't it? When a toy's been played with, there's always telltale signs, scuff marks and things rubbed off, but this toy is extremely clean. There's sort of no bits of paint missing on the edges and stuff. It's a very, very nice Thomas the Tank. And when you have a nice toy like this, well, you just want to start playing, don't you? It's a toy that, well, reeks of ERTL to me, but I know my audience are going to know lots about this. Maybe it was from a book or a game. I know there was some special stuff that featured things like this. Maybe it's something from Japan. Who knows? Anyway, I know my audience always knows far more than me, and there goes Thomas. This is our next Thomas toy. It's something from an early era, and I'll tell you what, I think this is in amazing condition. It's in this crinkly bag because it's probably the bags the charity shop had at the time. I'll get rid of that so you can properly hear me. I think what's amazing about this one, and I've had a few of these through, is look at the condition of this. It's a Tomy toy. I think it's a pullback thing. It's got a bit of a mark there on its face. Yes, there's that there. And Thomas is almost like he's alive. He keeps wanting to look at me. I don't know what he's doing. But I can't really see any other marks on this toy. Maybe that was a manufacturing mark. It doesn't look like a play mark to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Hey, but look at how clean this toy is. Normally you'll see paint off the sides and scratches down the sides, and the wheels have all been chewed out, especially the traction tire in these toys. But this thing is very, very clean. I've had quite a few of these come through. Often, I think I've had a whole run of Jameses of this style of toy. Very clean. Let me take a look at the date and stuff underneath if I get it around the right way. Okay, Tomy, made in Vietnam, ERTL Thomas, limited 2004. It's very nice to have one in such clean condition because it starts to show the Thomas love and wear and tear that my other ones have got. Who knows what this toy's been through and why it's so clean. But I'm going to like it whether they've got Thomas love or whether they're nearly pristine like this one. This is an absolutely stunning find. Let's just put it down on the table and see those eyes doing its thing. Because the eyes are freaking me out. Yes, the good toys, you want to pick them up and play, don't you? There he goes. Let's get to see what one's like before it's had too much love. The eyes are fantastic, aren't they? Once again, I wonder if they make toys like this today. Maybe my audience knows where they are. I know one thing, I'm having trouble finding them. Well, you might think King Kong's pretty impressive with those Thomas Minis there, but I can show you something far, far more impressive. And if I pull back like this, here is the next item we're going to take a look at in this collecting video. A bag like this of toys like that in the charity shop in my suburb would be about $4 or $5. I think this is the early Thomas take along. Yes, I can tell by that, and I can also tell by the track there. And this looks like, well, almost like a complete little train set that somebody would have lovingly owned. Let's take a look at this. And what I like to do when I look at these toys is maybe we can work out which character was the favourite by the love and the wear and tear on this. I'll tell you one thing, the Thomas in this is looking in very, very nice condition. Look at that, that's quite unusual, isn't it? Mind you, well, I've got double Percy out going on here. The Percy here looks like it's had a fair bit of love, but once I get it all out, we're going to learn a lot more about who was liked and, well, who was disliked. Oh, this is lovely. This is all learning curve take along 2002, so we're going back quite a few years here. The characters I've got here is Terence, George, who is in beautiful condition. There's Henry there in the tender, a double Percy, and that's a total mystery, but they both look like they've been loved. And Thomas pulling the beautiful Tidmouth milk wagon, and this wagon here is, the weight in this thing here is amazing. That's what the old take-along stuff was like. The magnets, I used to love the way they connect. Sadly, that's all sort of gone now, boys and girls, but we won't get too ragey about it. And the take-along Thomas, and I've said this many times, the way to tell him is he's got that moon face, he's got the yellow whistles, he's got the large number 1 on the side. The paint detailing on the cab there is a little bit inside the edge. That's one classic hallmark of those toys. And notably, this one has got a metal front funnel area, which is very, very nice. I will do my famous in-hand appraisal here. Here is Terence here. Sometimes when you find these toys, the tracks have been blown off them. Of course, the tracks are still on this one. This one's showing some love. Hey, I don't mind that one. I'm pretty sure up in my son's collection I've got one of these. But hey, I don't mind having two. Very nice indeed. You just don't see stuff like that anymore. The next one we're going to take a look at is George. And this toy here looks like, well, it was just set aside and not really played with. Hey, look at the face on that. There's not a mark on this toy. It's basically, it looks like it just popped out of box. I don't mind that at all, but hey, sometimes I love to see a bit of love and wear and tear. Next one I'm going to take a look at is Henry, and I think Henry had been quite popular. Some knocking around there, very typical sort of wear and tear. There's his tender there. It's often you get these toys and the tenders can be missing. They go adrift. Nice detailing in the driver's cab there. It's stuff you don't see anymore. Face looks fantastic, yeah. Okay, and the double Percy dilemma and mystery to why we've got two of them. I would definitely say the Percys here were the loved ones in a sense. Bringing the other one as well. Both cheeky looking. This one here, when I'm shaking, looks a little bit worse for wear in a sense. More Percy love. Yeah, okay, and the Thomas, well, it's one of the, it's actually one of the better conditioned take-alongs that I've got. Like most times you'll get a Thomas and it's been trashed. Thomas has, you know, been all over the place because, well, Thomas tends to be one of the favourites that little boys and girls play with. Just a bit of a paint chip on the back there, but, you know, not much wear and tear. Often the wheel area will tell you a story about where Thomas has been, but it's a very, very clean Thomas. And the Tidmouth milk wagon, which I'm actually very impressed with. Well, because that edge there is going to be knocked around because it's right on the edge. That's a nice piece indeed. I like that one a lot. Let me just shuffle all these happy guys to the side, and we'll just take a look at some of these track parts because they are opening up a Thomas and Friends mystery. Okay, it's in particular these pieces here. I haven't got that much take-along track system, and I've never seen these pieces before. It's a bit of a bridge thing that goes to like a bit of a dead end there. It's got 4 holes there. It has got something like that. Might have been signals in there or signs. The take-along system was sometimes a little bit tricky to put together. I'm having to use a lot of force there to get that together, and a snap there to get it apart. Maybe that was something I didn't like about this system, but what I find underneath here, it says DVD Percy, it's 2004 Ghislaine Thomas blah blah blah. What exactly what's DVD mean? Okay, this one here, another piece, I've actually found 3 of these. It's basically like a curved bridge, and it's got cobblestones, as I'll call it, or something, rocks. Once again, 4 holes there. Underneath this one, it says DVD Thomas. Okay, yeah. Who knows? They may have come with engines or something. And here is another one I found in the pile of track. Once again, it's a destination to nowhere. Just 2 holes there. Okay, little cobblestones and stuff. And it says DVD Gordon. Yeah, it's funny, you think you've seen it all, but just things just keep popping up, don't they? Let me make up a little layout with this track here. I actually found a little piece of wood. I don't know whether that's Thomas and Friends or just a bit of rubbish. Let me build something up. Well, surprise, surprise, it actually makes a nice little layout. Now, when you're in a charity shop and you see like a toy train for sale, and you see a good price and you think, oh, well, I get that, or I go to the toy store and spend, you know, $40 on a new toy. I get something like this. I guarantee that's the best bet. I didn't use those pieces there. I just have them as a bit of a scrapyard. And maybe Terrence can be busy and coming along, even though he's got nothing on the front of him, he can be pushing those around. It just invites you to play this sort of thing. I've never actually had much play on the take-along track. It goes really nicely, actually. Really nicely. I like the feel of this, although can you turn that way there? No, you lose your wagon. Well, we just did the wrong turn there because, well, the double Percy's were taking up the thing. Those pieces there are nice. You can feel the rumbly bumblies there. Coming around to Henry there. Henry's on the side in there because he's undecided what to do because he's Henry. And coming around here, and we can basically have a bit of a bash into the double Percys. Get them off the lines. Go away, Percy. Because Thomas basically rules the rails. Go, Thomas, go. Sorry about that, Percy fans. I'll put the Percys back up here. What I'll try and do is I'm going to try and do one of those basically in-camera stories like I see so many other Thomas YouTubers do, and I've never been really had much luck in pulling off ones where you're talking to camera live to a train's moving along, but let me try one. It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor. All the engines were busy, especially Thomas the Tank, who had a very important delivery to do with the Tidmouth milk trailer. Beep beep! Watch out, everyone! I'm coming through. The Fat Controller's asked me to take the milk into town. Nobody can get in my way. All of a sudden, Thomas came up against not 1, but 2 Percys. What are you doing, Percy? Why are there 2 of you? There's 2 of me, Thomas, because the Fat Controller says I'm so awesome, he's going to get another one of me. So there he is. He's Percy, number 2. Oh, got so excited I fell over. I thought I was the most important one here, Thomas. I thought the Fat Controller made 2 of me. I don't like the fact there's 2 of you. You're just hogging the rails and get out of my way. I've got an important load here. Watch out, Thomas. Don't speak to me like that. Have some respect. There's two of me, you know, and two is better than one. That's what you think, Percy. Get out of my way! Whoa, and Thomas rams his way through. One Percy gets thrown and blows up on the side of the track. Another Percy, number 2 Percy, is also blown up on the side of the track. And Thomas bursts through, making his delivery. All of a sudden, Thomas comes up to Henry. Henry asks, Thomas, have you been treating the other engines with disrespect? Well, no, Henry, but Percy, well, 2 Percys were getting in the way of my very important delivery. Well, Thomas, one thing you should do is always treat other engines with respect, even if they are being a little bit cheeky. Well, okay, Henry, well, I'll take your advice anyway. Go back to your siding, I don't want to know about you. And then Thomas chugged through, making his delivery. All of a sudden, Thomas came up against a very rocky climb, which was very, very disastrous. The coupling broke free, the milk ran down the tracks, and all of a sudden rolled over and took out Henry. Henry blew up. The milk was all over Henry, and his trailer was blown to smithereens. George heard the kerfuffle, and George came along. What's going on here? What's happened? Why is Thomas's milk all over Henry? Why has things gone wrong? Let me find out what's going wrong. And George slowly trundled along the rails to work out what Thomas has been up to. Thomas, have you been causing confusion and delay? Thomas spun round on the rails. Oh, hi, George. Well, put it this way. I've had trouble from Percy and Henry was saying silly stuff, so I decided to, you know, do what I always do. Well, Thomas, that's not a very nice thing to do, you know. You should always listen to your elders and respect your friends. I don't think you've been doing that. Okay, George. Well, you know, you are just a steamroller, and you're not really a trained. Should I really listen to you? And Thomas smacked George in the face, and he was blown away. Anyway, Thomas trundled around, being Thomas as he does. He thought he'd better go back to his siding because, in the end, with that Percy in the way, he thought he might get into trouble, but I'm sure Thomas will live for another day. Now, I've never done one of those before. That's one where you don't make any cuts in the camera. You just keep going along and making up a story. Maybe you like that sort of thing. I've actually had trouble remembering all the names and just making up a story along the way, but hey, it was actually sort of a little bit of fun. But I hope you can see through the way that I made up that story that this is actually an excellent toy, and you know, if you see toys like this in charity shops and everything, don't dismiss them as old toys. Relish them, because I guarantee you there's not toys like this on the market anymore. Maybe my story is going to get a whole bunch of hate and rage, who knows. I tend to pull a lot of that these days on YouTube. The next thing we're going to take a look at resides in this bag here. And apart from the Thomas and Friends stuff, the charity shop does find me a little bit of Chuggington stuff. But I'll tell you what, not much Chuggington comes through. Maybe that's telling me a bit of a story. Okay, obviously Chuggington trains, 2 of the diecast series, that's the early version of them, and 2 of the Chuggington Interactive. Okay, these are Learning Curve 2010. It's funny, when I look at these toys here, they really remind me of the earlier days of my YouTube channel, and also when my son was very young. My son basically grew up with this franchise, although he struggled to remember any of the names outside the basic core characters. You can see it's had a bit of love. I never really liked the coupling system on it. I've spoken about this a lot on my earlier train videos. Wilson is here as well. They always presented well-detailed trains. That's one thing I've always said about Chuggington. But the fail of these toys was, and it was very, very simple, was that, as I saw with my son, it never connected up nicely with Thomas and Friends trains, you know, which were using magnets. If only it had magnets on it, I think we would have had a totally different train story to tell. The way they did couple up was a little bit clumsy and a little bit naffed, and I don't know. To me, it was like a very strange design to have that. And sometimes when these got weak, they'd let go really easily. They're still fairly nice. Anyway, it's curious. I don't see many of these come through the charity shop. I don't know what that's telling me about these toys, even though they're excellent train toys. The Chuggington Interactive, these are a battery toy. All the batteries did was basically make them talk. It didn't make them move. I think this is Frostini? Oh, there goes my research. I've done 0 as usual. And I did, I'm not going to go into the whole thing of putting batteries in, but I noticed that this one here you can see the battery compartment has actually been fried up. You can't see down there, but you can see on this end here, batteries have leaked and basically destroyed the battery area. I suppose you could spend a bit of time and fix it up, but I'll be quite honest here, I really wouldn't be bothered. What I noticed when my son played with these toys, and he played with them a fair bit, was he pushed them around on the ground and on tracks that they would fit on, but he would never really press the buttons to make them talk. The whole interactive talking part of them was something that he never really got into. Is this one, is it Harrison? Oh, goodness me, I don't know. Even I'm struggling. This is a classic example. Even I'm struggling to remember. I've really got to think, what is the name of that one there? There's something about this franchise where the names didn't stick. I think I looked at the battery compartment of this one, and I think it was okay. Yeah, one was damaged. No, that one's even worse. Okay, see all that there, that gunk there? Both of them have had leaky batteries. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing with these toys just as push-alongs, and that's all these really are now. This one here versus the other one, you can see that it's got wear and tear here. That's a good sign. So this one looks like it's had a fair bit of play. It's just such nice detail in these toys. And the other curious part to these toys was that actually you could connect up the interactive with the die cast, even though there was the balls were a little bit different sized. You could sort of just still pull it off, and they were slightly different heights. But again, this train really didn't connect to anything else apart from itself, which I think was the big mistake of Chuggington. Just tracking back to Frostini, it's one of these toys. I remember with my son's ones, they took a fair bit of punishment before showing any wear and tear. There's bits of paint rubbed off on this. I think she's actually missing a door there. I think there's meant to be a door that comes over and closes down over her ice creams. But often with these toys, the place to look is down around the wheels and axles and things. And if you see things caught up in the axles and stuff and lots of, scuff marks, that sort of shows it's had a lot of play and things. But I'll be quite honest here, I don't think there's been that much play going on with this toy. But hey, sometimes it just happens like that. Here in Australia, I just haven't seen these toys for sale for such a long time. They got pulled out of Toys R Us in Australia, although someone sent me some photographs from the USA, and it was only recently, and that's like mid-2016, where it showed these toys still for sale overseas. But I can tell you what, in Australia, about maybe the only place you'll find some is occasionally they'll appear in the reject shop. Basically because it looks like they weren't selling it anywhere else. But it sort of does just work in this take-along track, sort of. But I know the diecast guys will love this track. It's just probably the right size for them. There we go, look at that there. That's funny, I never really keyed into their track style either. I mean, it was very similar to what you saw in the show. But I don't know, something about train track. To me, it's got to look like train track. And even with this take-along track here, well, the problem about that there is, to me, it looks like road. Well, having the Chuggington toys out, it's got me feeling a little bit nostalgic, and it had me digging through a box at the back. Let me put Wilson on the back here so we can just concentrate on Brewster. That's the new one which we had come through. Pretty spiffo condition, isn't it? But then I looked at my box of Chuggington toys in my garage here, and do you remember when I did that mod? It's a HO conversion. I can't even remember doing that. Like I said, I looked at these toys very early on in my YouTube channel. This one here, it was nice. I think this came with a set of other things that were frosted up. Maybe I'm wrong there. Okay, there was actually quite a few variations of these toys. That's just a normal Brewster. That one's just a normal Brewster. That one's just a normal Brewster. Don't ask me, I've got too many. This is a wooden one. I think the wooden ones were the best ones to get, but boy oh boy were they hard to find in Australia. I mean, they were extremely hard to find, and they had metal magnets and actually connected the Thomas stuff really well. There was this one here. It's a diecast one. It had jet engines on it. I think it's the episode where he wants to be like Action Chugger, because we all want to be like the superhero, don't we? And I think you end up working out that it's possibly not as much fun as what you'd expect. This one here is a powered diecast one. Once again, I only saw those in the reject shop. It's not too bad a toy. That's sort of more the Tomy era. But these ones here are a little bit different because these were my son's ones. Don't ask me why he's got two. But you can see that he's played with these a fair bit. That was his first one, I believe. That's the jet engine in the background. Sorry about that. Okay, and then he's got this one here as well. And I always used to say, you can tell the little trains or characters my son liked the most because of the wear and tear on the trains. Later version of the diecast train turned into what they called Stack Track. It was a Tomy toy. I've got one in box here. We'll pull this one out of box, and I'm just going to show you the major differences between this toy and the one that preceded it. Quite nice. We've got a collector's card there. Mind you, it's on the thinnest cardboard I've ever felt in my life. No expense spared, is there? And we'll just get the toy out of the packaging now. And it was a real, total flip round of the way the toys were made. All of a sudden, instead of being die-cast top and sort of plastic bottom, well, it became plastic top and a little bit of metal running along the bottom here. And they put names on as well, which is always going to help people like me. But if I grab this one here, I mean, they sort of basically look the same. But I tell you what, just having them in the hands, this one here, which is the metal top, and in a sense the plastic bottom, just feels so much nicer than this one here. Just feels like I've got a feather in my hand in comparison. It's funny, if you were going to think of these as collectible, which one will I grab? Which one's worth more money? Well, definitely the earlier version. That's the learning curve version, which is the die-cast. I call it Chuggington Die Cast because it's all metal on top. The one that came a bit later on, I don't know. I mean, to me, it just doesn't look as spanky when they're plastic on top versus painted metal. Maybe you'll have your say on that. Maybe I've got it all wrong, but that's just me. I know, I think the big change they needed to do was basically change the coupling system. That was, I think, the big fail of this toy. Well, as silly as this sounds, I will use that powered diecast Brewster there, see if he can pull along a train of his own kind, and see if it goes around on take along track. Well, and I think it's actually going to pull it off. Well, you don't see that on YouTube every day, I can absolutely guarantee it. There you go, the simple things in life are often the best. Who needs different characters? You can just run a whole train of the same character. Yeah, well, sometimes it's just about standing back and watching the trains go round and round and round. Well, I'll come in and I'll capture Brewster before it causes any more trouble and derailment. Stop, Brewster, stop. Yeah, it's funny, you can pick up a toy and it makes you thinking about the other toys you've got, and then you can start to look at more, and then, well, the whole video basically gets derailed. It happens like that around here. The charity shop has been amazing, who collects the Thomas stuff for me, totally amazing. There are things that are fairly common, and that toy there, it's a Tomy, it's actually 1997, so it's a nice early year. It does some of that so often as it'll be a little bit tired. Probably needs a good play, doesn't it? I like this one, let him spin out there. I like this one because it has got some little personalised stickers and stuff on it. I remember both of my children had a passion for doing that, and I would always be picking them off because I'd like to see the toys without being customised. You know, someone said, "Oh, Leo, aren't you worried about giving that Percy collection away?" When I did not that long back, I said, "No, I'm not, because there's going to be plenty more around of Percy, I know." Yeah, it's a nice toy, I tell you. There's a nice early date on that one too. There you go, 1997, hey? Tomy, the good old days. But I think, you know, these are sort of like dime a dozen. I see that solar toy come through all the time. But sometimes the charity shop finds something really nice, and wait to see what's in here. I got a nice surprise, I tell you. The problem is, if only it was Thomas. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, let me get it out of the paper. Okay, from what I can work out, this is a Porcelain Percy. It looks like it's a money box because it's got a slot on top there. I have to be very careful handling this one because this sort of Percy wouldn't like to be dropped. It's got a very, very unusual face. And for some reason, Percy's looking over there. Maybe he's looking at Thomas. It has got some nice detailing. Because it's porcelain, it's nice and heavy. I think it's got the character of Percy quite well. Got all the important parts and bits of detailing there. And it's the sort of thing, when I saw this, I thought, well, first off I thought, where's the Thomas the Tank of this? Because it's something I haven't got. It just reveals to me there's so much to this franchise. It is just so deep. But underneath sort of will reveal to us what this Percy is. Well, it looks like this is a Percy celebrating the 60 years of Thomas and Friends. Moving down a bit, it says it's a Coalport Characters Porcelain Thomas 2005. So that detailing is important. I think it's missing a rubber grommet that would be there, or else the Percy bank. You couldn't call it a piggy bank, could you? The money would just fall through. But nevertheless, it is a very, very fine and dandy Percy. Mind you, the coal bunker looks like it's collected a bit of dust. Yeah, I just look at things like this, and well, I keep thinking, where's Thomas of this? It's very, very nice. And anyone thinking my Percy collection will never rebuild, don't worry about that. I'm sure it will. Now, I think of a toy like this, well, it's not really a toy, it's a collectible. How much do you think something like this is worth? 60th anniversary, a lot of people say, oh, that's the stuff to collect, and that's the important things to have. It has got some problems, it's missing that there. It's a bit chipped and scuffed around the wheel area there. It's a little bit grimy, but I suppose you could clean it up. How much is that Percy worth? Well, lo and behold, I have found one. It's a seller in Australia, and the person, I know this person because I bought a gold ERTL, supposedly mint in box. Remember that? Look at the price, $31.50. This is Australian dollars, so US dollars, that's $23.89, and then you got to add postage onto that, and it wouldn't be that cheap, the postage. Had a good look around on eBay. I'll tell you one thing, there's not many of those Percys about, but it does ask the question, imagine if this was a Thomas version of this, that is, if there was a Thomas, how much would that be worth? Because as I've seen before, when it's Percy and any characters but Thomas, the price can tend to be a little bit deflated, but as soon as it's Thomas the Tank, the magic starts to happen. Oh yes, a very nice find of Thomas the Tanks in this video. I always like to get those tote cases there. Really nice to get the large ERTL. This spanking Tomy one, excellent as well. Our Mystery Thomas here, which is incredibly detailed, is nice. Always like to get a take along. But maybe the greatest find was our Porcelain Percy. Well, sadly, I have to wrap this episode up here. It's probably far too long for today's YouTube. I hope my Toy Story didn't disturb you and give you nightmares. As always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.